Chapter 19. I spent another day at the clinic on Friday, mostly reading and talking to Alexis, which had become our routine, until a woman brought in her husband. He had been opening a box when the razor knife slipped, and he had run the sharp blade from wrist to elbow, cutting himself deeply. He was bleeding profusely and was ashen when she brought him in. Alexis and I jumped up and helped them into one of the exam rooms. Alexis held the wound shut and asked me to hand her a roll of gauze out of the cabinet. Between the two of us, we held his wound shut and bound his arm tightly to help stem the flow of blood. The best thing we can do is slow the bleeding and get him to change forms. That'll heal the worst of it, maybe not all of it, but it'll go a long way, Alexis explained. I can't shift. I can't concentrate long enough, our patient said. That's all right, we can deal with that, just give us a minute. You're out of danger for a minute or two, Alexis reassured him, then turned back to me. Are you ready for this? You can do it, I'm sure. I'm willing to try. She turned back to our patient and explained, this is what we're going to do. Nickie is learning to use her powers. She's going to try to call your wolf. Don't worry, because if she doesn't succeed, which I'm certain she will, I'll step in. You'll change either way. Here's the question, do you want to try to strip or do you want us to shift you in your clothes? I don't think I could undress right now. The clothes are ruined anyway, just shift me. Okay Nickie, go for it. Remember, you have to feel for his wolf. She tried to talk me through it, but I tuned her voice out while I focused. I reached deep inside myself for the part of me that sensed energy. I pulled it forward and pushed it into the man in front of me. I felt for the man's wolf. He wasn't hard to find, he was hiding just under the surface. I tried to coax him out, but he didn't seem to want out. He shied away every time I tried to coax him out. I pulled back and opened my eyes. Taking a deep breath and letting it out, I calmed myself before trying again. I once again called forth the part that sensed energy and sent it into him. The wolf seemed unsure, but more curious this time. I tried to coax him again, but this time when he got close, I sent my energy surging forward to grab the wolf before he could jump away and pulled him to the surface. When I opened my eyes, there he was, the wolf I had sensed inside the man, laying on the exam table. The bandage we had wrapped so tightly around his arm now hung loosely around the wolf's front leg. The wound still bled, but it seeped instead of the steady flow it had been. Very good, Nickie. Do you think you can shift him again? Alexis said. Yeah, give me a second. All right, sit down on that stool over there for a moment before you try, she said, then turned to our patient's wife. If you'll go down the hall to our kitchen and look in the fridge, you will find meal replacement shakes. Grab a couple and bring them back. The woman and I heard her talking to Caden in the hallway. I'd been so focused on our patient and calling his wolf, I hadn't been aware of Caden moving to stand outside the doorway. Alexis grabbed a sheet out of a cabinet and unfolded it. Ready when you are, Nickie. I focused again, wrapping my energy around the wolf like a bubble. I gently encouraged him to retreat to where he had been when I called him, pushing with my energy. The wolf seemed content to go back now that his job was done. A blur formed around him. Before the blur was gone, Alexis covered the reclining form with the sheet so only his shoulders and head were left exposed. She did it more for me than anyone else, but I appreciated it. I looked again at the wound on his forearm and it was still open, but the bleeding had stopped. I was pulling out the bandages to close the wound when his wife returned. Alexis took the cans of drink from her and quickly shook one up before popping the top open and putting it in the man's uninjured hand while I worked on re-bandaging his injury. He drained the can and handed it back to Alexis. She took the empty can and handed him a full one. He quickly drained that one as well. That stuff's nasty, he said. It doesn't taste great, but it's an excellent way to replace calories and nutrients burned by 2 shifts. And it's fast. Far faster than fixing you something and eating. True. I feel much better now that I've had them. Why have we never used them before? Because it never occurred to anyone to use them until this one shifted and started drinking them, Alexis motioned to me. I was fastening off the gauze when I noticed they were all watching me. What? I looked at Alexis. What made you think to use the meal replacement drinks? We used to feed them to Shiloh when she was little, because she was so underweight. When I realized I would need more calories, especially when I shift, and something I could keep in the car for emergencies, they seemed like a good option. You're right, they're perfect. We've started using them here, they last in storage and they are quick and easy. I think if you try, you can buy them in bulk cheaper. I didn't know what else to say. I'll have to check into that. Alexis turned to the couple and got them ready to go. I cleaned up the mess we'd made while she led them out the door. The rest of the afternoon was uneventful, and when I went home, I showered and went to bed early. Calling animal forms was exhausting.